Good morning, guys. Right. So let me introduce myself. So my name is Ram Prasad. I am working as a software test manager. Worked on firmware testing, performance testing, and automation, the Cypress. So this is my expertization. Okay. So we are here learn performance testing basics and basic performance testing with the JMeter. This is our 2 days schedule. Okay. Is this font is visible? Yes, sir. Font is clear, or we need to change the font?
It's okay, sir.
Yes, sir, clear.
Right. Thank you. So we need to understand very simple concepts of performance testing. So I don't want to bother you much. So we have only 3 concepts, 3 question and answers simply. And we need to implement those things with a tool. So far we learned about the manual testing, right? So we are able to create the test cases. We are able to engage the, execute the test case, identify the bugs, right? So this is comes under most of the times you work with functionality testing and compatibility testing. Am I right? So now we are introducing one more non-functional testing type called performance testing. So just we need to understand the performance testing, how exactly it will work in the real time, what exactly it is. So types of performance testings. Okay. So why do we require performance testing and how we measure the performance testing? So today the target is 3 concepts. Why do we require performance testing? Okay. Second one, what is performance testing and its types? Third one, how do we measure the performance testing? So entire day, so 10 to 1, we are consuming for theoretical discussion to have a familiarity about performance testing. Later or tomorrow, we can jump onto the automation. Okay, performance automation with the JMeter. Right? This is our 2 days workshop schedule. So any questions so far? So what we are, why we are here and what we are trying to learn. So as a functional tester, we are getting the awareness towards non-functional testing type called performance testing. So to understand performance testing, we have performance testing. As I mentioned earlier, it is a non-functional testing type. Okay. So in this performance testing, we would like to know, why do we require performance testing? Right? That's the first point we need to understand today. So that is why. Next, what is performance testing and its types? We are understanding the purpose of performance testing and we need to understand what exactly it is. Third one, performance counters. That is how we are calculating the performance of an application. Okay. So we have some. So have you heard about response time? How quickly we are getting the response? Exactly similar to that. So how many users are acting on this application? So similar to this, we have some counters. That is nothing but measurements. So we have some measurements or some calculations to identify whether it is a good performance or bad performance. So those are the 3 things which we need to focus on the day 1. Day 2, all these counters we can able to evaluate through a tool called JMeter. So next concept is all our theoretical discussion. So we need to set up tool called JMeter and create a sample script run the sample script. Okay. So identify the performance counters for this script. Okay. So this comes under day 2. Practical things on your tool. Okay. So this is on day 1. Theoretical concepts to make sure you are familiar with what is performance testing. So end of the day, we need to understand why do we require performance testing? What is performance testing? And what are the types of performance testing? How do we have a testing types? Exactly similar to that, we have a performance testing types as well. We need to understand that, and then we can jump on to the counters. So our performance measurements. Okay, so just very simple. So we have very limited concept. If you understand these things, so we can able to easily start your career into the performance testing as well, in addition to your functional testing, right? So additional information on top of the existing knowledge, right guys? Can we start?
Yes.
Right. So first question is, why do we require performance testing for a application or for an application, or generalize this for web application? Example, www.qualitythought.in. It is a web application, right? So which is for Quality Thought Institute. So why do we require performance testing for this particular web application? Let's take an example. I approach a developer to create my website. Okay, so I required login, sign up, forget password, something like this. All these functionalities, okay, so are mandatory to the website. So all these comes under functional testing, right? All these are functional requirement. What kind of functionalities we are expecting from this application? And we have courses and admissions, blah blah blah, etc. modules we are supposed to implement on your particular website called qualitythought.in, right? So whether these things are available in your application or not, how do we check? We can open .qualitythought.in and piece by piece, functionality by functionality, module by module, screen by screen, field by field, we are evaluating this website. All these courses are displayed correctly. Okay, all the fees are displayed correctly, all the hours are displayed correctly. So can we able to know more? Click on know more. So whether it is displaying correctly, all this comes under. So whatever we learned so far, that comes under functional testing, and you are a functional tester. Now my question is, we are launching an offer. Example, 1 rupee testing. How many of your friends you will refer? So many, right? So only web application, through web application only we are going to conduct the admissions. So then we have a huge crowd to the Quality Thought website. But can you guarantee that this site will be allowing your friends to enroll into the course? Example, IRCTC website for Tatkal ticket booking on a festive season. Can you guarantee? But now we can guarantee. That means, so your application functionality also depends on the number of users accessing that website. We have current fees, so we have only limited referrals, but it is free, or 1 rupee or 100 rupees. We have more referrals, right? So everyone is hitting the website for enrollment. The site may work, may not work. So we are here to estimate in which situation the site is working, in which situation site is not working. So because of that, we are here to understand what is performance testing. Why do we require performance testing? Right? If we get more crowd to the website, can we guarantee? So everyone or every one of your referral may enroll and get the seat. Can you guarantee? No. If there is a huge crowd, we can't guarantee. If we have only 100 or 200 members, yes, we can able to get it. Why? Because my site, example, my site will be working for 1,000 users at a time. That means if we have 1,000 referrals, it is no problem. How we are ensuring that 1,000 users it is working fine? We need to have a measurement, right? 1,000 users. How do you come to know that? Only solution is am I right? So to identify that for how many users my site will work, we need to conduct the performance testing. Let's forget about this. Just it's a goal of our discussion. How to identify 1,000. For that, we have different testing types. We have different types of performance counters. So all our discussion is, so how to identify these 1,000 users. Are you getting my point? So mana site 1,000 members ki pani chestunda ledo ani cheppadaniki oka testing kavali sir. Enduku business need enti ikkada? If we have a referral program for discounted things, we are getting huge crowd. Can we handle that crowd in our existing application? Or do we need any additional extra resources like hardware, server, something like that? To get that predefined information, we need to conduct some testing. For everything, we can ensure only through testing, right? Whether this feature is correctly working fine or not. How do you ensure that? By conducting some testing. Exactly similar to that. For number of users, whether your site is working fine or not, is the outcome of performance testing. Is it clear, guys? So once we set the goal, we can easily learn the things. Right? Right. So this is the need of our performance testing to make sure how many users we can able to serve. Right. So weightlifting competitions are going on. Okay. So how many kgs of weight you can able to hold? 5 kgs. Everyone in the class able to lift the 5 kgs. Am I right or not? 7 kgs? Yes. 10 kgs? What about 100 kgs? So that is what performance is. What is your performance? Maximum 25 kgs. Or somewhat some people, one who are really strong, 35. Really more strong, 50. Beyond that, we need to get into the weightlifter course. Okay, so we need to attend some weightlifting classes or build your body strongly. Exactly similar to that, our applications also have some cap, that is some limit. 500 users, 200 users, 100 users, 50 users, 10 users, 1,000 users, 2,000 users. That cap is our target of this session. Am I clear? So this is how we are going to understand how many users we can able to serve betterly in our Flipkart.com, Amazon.in, Myntra.com, okay, Google.co.in, Google.com, Gmail.com. Every website you are accessing have some potential cap. So that is only through performance testing. This is main mindset of a performance tester. Right? So to evaluate this, first factor influencing the performance, speed. What do you mean by speed? How quickly?
Working so far.
your application is responding to what? Click on login. That is your user action. All the users click on login. That is an action. Right? So how quickly your application is responding to your user actions. Second factor, scalability. It may be a new keyword to you. Speed is familiar, right? Everyone is good at speed or not? Right? Scalability. So future ready. So you are a manual tester. Are you able to scalable your skills into the automation, into the ETL, into the performance, into some X blah, blah, blah. That is upskilling, upgrading. So currently your application is working with 100 users effectively. It will be go with the 200 users. It will be okay with 400 users. Currently we are using 8 GB server. Can we improve it to 12 GB, 18 GB, something like that? So can we able to upgrade? Right. Next, stability. What do you mean by stable? What is smoke testing? Whether the build is stable to conduct the further testing or not. Okay, this stable keyword is already familiar to you, right? It is not at all a new thing from my side. Right. Stability. How do we get the stability? All right. Stability. So you already have a stability keyword with you. So that means it should be eligible to conduct the further testing in the smoke, right? Stable build. Exactly similar to that. Stability is nothing but consistent. Am I right? So today we conducted performance testing with 1,000 users. It is giving so within 2 seconds, we can able to get the output from your application. Tomorrow you are conducting the same 1,000 users testing. It is taking 5 seconds. Day after tomorrow, you are repeating the same test. It is taking 8 seconds. Is it consistent? Can you trustworthy these particular results? So we have something messy, right? So that is what we can call it as a stability. So your application need to work with the same users all the days, all the time, giving the same results. You are working with 100 users. Yes. So today, tomorrow, after a year, with the same environment, can we behave the same or not? This should be behave the same. That is called stability. Next, last one. It is providing the confidence. So we are measuring the speed in the performance testing. So that is the main important characteristics of why do we require the performance testing. We need to estimate the speed of an application. Am I right? Second, scalability. We need to understand that if 1,000 users are acting on your application, this hardware is sufficient. If you are able to expect 20,000 users, we need to have 5 more servers. That information we can capture through scalability. Next, stability. So are we getting the consistent results continuously? So that is what we can able to get. The stability is the requirement. So why do we get the performance testing? We have a stable results before going to the release. You conducted 1 week complete testing with 1,000 users. Every day it is only responding within 2 seconds. Can we trust this application now? Yes. So first day 2 seconds, second day 3 seconds, third day 4 seconds, last day 250 seconds. Again we are repeating. Again it is going to do 250 seconds. So it is not a trustworthy application, right? So we need to get the constant results for the same action. So let's take your real-time example. So we are conducting an exam. You got 20 marks today. Tomorrow, same exam without preparing additional things. Same 20 marks will be come out of the outcome, right? No, you చదివితే నీ మార్కులు పెరుగుతాయి. నువ్వు చదవకపోతే లేదు, మీ మాస్టర్స్ సరిగ్గా దిద్దలేదు. సో ఒకసారి 20 వేసాడు, ఒకసారి 25 వేసాడు. Same answers ki. Will it be a right evaluation? That is what we need to achieve through why do we require performance testing. So to maintain stabilized results. Last one, confidence. So by providing all above 3 factors, So we can able to have a question like how much speed it is. We can able to get an answer from performance testing. So whether it is scalable or not, we get an answer from performance testing. So whether it is stable or not, we get the answer from performance testing. On production release day, we are going to push the changes to the production. Market like release. So then, can we get the confidence? Yes, it is application is for 1,000 users. We are good and we are happy. Right? So this is what we can able to get through to estimate the speed, to estimate the scalability, to estimate the stability, to estimate the confidence. So we are going to conduct performance testing. This is answer for the first question called, why do we require the performance testing? So without performance testing, can we able to estimate your application speed? At least you are familiar so far, right? So it doesn't require any master degrees to understand this. Am I right or not? Right. So a small PPT for you, just to understand this betterly. You're already familiar with this, right? Why we are here? Right. This also we are clear. Why we need performance testing? What is performance testing? So performance testing types. So we'll come to know that in a while. Right. So first one is speed. So what is speed? How quickly it is responding. Next, scalability. So next factor, stability. Last one, confidence. Right. So if you require, you can note down that important point. Okay. So does the application respond quickly enough for the intended users? How quickly we are responding? Next. So will the application handle the expected users load and beyond? How do we handle the beyond? By upgrading the hardware or by improving the software capabilities. Next one, stability. Okay, how it is behaving in the positive way or in a negative way. Confidence. Are you sure that users will have a positive experience in go live day? If you have a predefined application with 1,000 users, you may get maximum of 1,000 users for your application, even though you are running better offers. Maximum we are estimating 1,000 users. So we are very confident on the release day. So if we are able to get the 1,000 users, then our application is stable and we can able to give the better results and better speed. That is what we are getting in the confidence. So is this clear? 4 factors influencing why do we require performance testing. So to make sure how quickly we are reacting to the application or request, user request, scalability, whether we can able to scale up your systems or not, stability, are we getting the consistent results or not, confidence. So positive experience of a customer. So you are trying to purchase a mobile phone through Flipkart. He is running an offer. So we have so many, right? Big man as something is there, right? So what we can say, Republic Day sales. At that moment, you are not able to purchase the mobile device with a discount. Will you frustrated or not? So there is not a positive experience, right? We don't want to get into that particular verse mode. So that's the reason we are going to conduct the performance testing. Right. So what are the factors influencing the speed? So we know raw language or layman level language, what exactly speed is. So in the real time, what are the factors influencing the speed? So you are a senior user for the Flipkart. From past 6 years, you are using the Flipkart. So you know what to do with the Flipkart. You are a guest user. Just now you know about the Flipkart. Can you do the same things as an experienced user? No. So you are just a signed up user. Right? You are traveling from other website to the Flipkart by clicking on the ad. So different behaviors are there, right? With respect to the user. క్లాస్ లో ఉన్న మన పిల్లలందరూ ఒకే రకంగా బిహేవ్ చేస్తారండి? సో everyone have their own attitude, right? Exactly similar to that. So we are the users. So how we are behaving differently? So different users have different concepts to behave on the application, right? కొంతమంది విండో షాపింగ్ చేస్తారు సార్, కొంతమంది రియల్ షాపింగ్ చేస్తారు, కొంతమంది యాడ్ ట్రాప్ ద్వారా ఫ్లిప్కార్ట్కి వస్తారు. దీస్ ఆర్ ద ఫ్యాక్టర్స్, రైట్? సో లెట్స్ అండర్స్టాండ్ దోస్ యూజర్ ఎక్స్పెక్టేషన్స్. ఓకే, నెక్స్ట్ system constraints. So you are running your server on 2 GB RAM. Will it be really fast? 24 GB RAM. Even though application is slow, because of the server, it will react some more quickly, right? So that is like system constraints or hardware or software constraints. And cost. Third one is cost. Your application client is a bigger client, MNC client. You have huge money. You can able to spend lots of things on the application performance as well as the hardware improvement, like Flipkart, Amazon. You are trying to run your own, what we can say, e-commerce web store. Can you able to do that much investment? That is the cost also influencing the speed. If you want to get the better speed, first thing is, so you need to estimate the user expectation. Second thing is system constraints, either hardware or software constraints, right? Third thing is cost. These are the three factors influencing your speed. How quickly we are reacting to end user actions is depends on three factors. First factor is user expectations. Second factor is system constraint. Third factor is cost. So user expectations, the type of experience is experienced user. Next, like how we have a interview experience, right? So psychology, how customer is using this application. I am clicking on the login button multiple times unnecessarily. That is my behavior. Negativity. Everyone is doing the same? No. Like open the ICICI Bank net banking. Everyone do the fund transfer every time? Someone will do for bank statement. Someone will use it for checking the balance. Someone use it for credit card statements. Someone is using for loan statement. Something else, right? Different users have different actions. They will do different behavior or they behave differently. Next, usage. The same thing. All these together, we can call it as a user expectations. In our general layman language, we can call it as window shopping, real purchases. Okay, so unnecessarily we are trapped into this website. These are three factors or three expectations or three kinds of users behaving on your application or working on your application, right? So system constraint, hardware, that is RAM, motherboard, processor. So on cloud, in the cloud also we have packages, right? If you want very quickly, the application need to respond very quickly, you need to buy the better package. The cost is also influencing. Network, your internet speed. You want to book a Tatkal ticket. You have very slow internet in your laptop. Can you able to book it? That is also network speed also influencing your speed. Am I right or not? Right. Software. So finally, the developer provided code also need to quickly respond. Okay, hardware level constraints, system level constraints. So we are here to understand whether it is a hardware constraint or a software constraint. So that will be understood by performance expert. Okay, right. Next, third factor is cost. Speed can be expensive. Is it true or not? You are purchasing a bike, a regular bike, 1 lakh. Sports bike, minimum of 5 lakhs. Speed varies, right? Speed is a costlier solution or not? Exactly similar to that. So our application speed also a costlier solution. Depends on different kinds of softwares, different kinds of hardwares. So increase in the hardware is directly proportional to your cost, right? So these are the three factors influencing our speed. User experience, Next, system constraints. Third one, cost. So if you want to get the good speed on your application, you need to invest on identifying or understanding the user expectations, understand the system constraints, understand the cost. Together, we can able to get the speed. Okay. So your developer is not that much worthy, even though you are investing more on hardware, you can't able to get the fruits. Your developer is worthy and the hardware is not that much worthy. Then also we are not getting the good speed. All together, we can able to get the good speed. Software need to be very good. The developer need to provide the excellent code. Hardware also directly proportional to that. And your client need to invest the money on it. If three factors are influencing your application development and they are good at your application, you will get a greater speed. Right? Next, second factor is scalability. How scalability work for us? How many users? So for 100 users, this hardware is sufficient. For 200 users, you need to upgrade your hardware. So we understand that, right? Scalability means, okay, upgrading. How much data it can hold? My server is 1 GB. You are getting 500 GB data, 500 MB data on day one. Is this server is sufficient 1 GB data? So tomorrow, day after tomorrow, it will be overflow, right? So that's the reason. So how much data can it hold? Okay, how many users? So comes with the scalability. Scalability depends on how many number of users will come. Okay, so how much data is consumed by your users, right? So how scalability will work for us? The first factor is how many users before it gets slow. Yeah, so initial 5 minutes, 10 o'clock we start the Tatkal ticket booking. 10:01, 10:02, it is somewhat good. After 10 hour, third minute is trying to get a bit slow. Fourth minute, ready act. So then after 5 minutes, damn slow. Up to 10 minutes, it is slow. Why? Because this is the only cap. 10 minutes cap is to book the tickets. After 11th minute, it is free and it is boosting the speed. Why? Because so with the disappointment, so many users will left the IRCTC website. So if some with excitement booking the ticket, some people will left. Okay, Randy? కొంతమంది బుక్ చేసుకుని వెళ్ళిపోతారు, కొంతమంది బుక్ చేసుకోకుండా వెళ్ళిపోతారు. మొత్తానికి 10 minutes లో IRCTC website in the Tatkal stream will be cleared. So that only we need to understand before it gets slow, how many users are available on IRCTC website. It is very much needed to take the predefined actions, right? To increase the server, to increase the IRCTC application quality in the development. So that is one factor. Okay, 5 years back, and let's go back to the 5 years under 2015 to 18 in between. So we are getting the sorry page if crowd is huge while booking the Tatkal ticket. Nowadays we are not able to see any Tatkal sorry pages, but at that moment we are able to see the sorry page. Why? Because it stopped working. We need to estimate that point, right? Where exactly we are getting some issue, where exactly it is getting stopped. That is one factor influencing the scalability. That means in future, so this Ugadi, we have a IRCTC Tatkal ticket booking. It was open and within 2 minutes it was going to the sorry page. How many users at that moment? 6 lakh users. So that means next year, the same time, we need to increase the hardware or we need to fix the software problems to go beyond 6 lakhs. How do we get that point? By understanding when it is stopped. When it is stopped, the number of users. So when 6,000 users acting on your website, it is go slow. 7 lakhs users, it stopped working. So we need to identify those informations in the scalability. Will it sustain for 10,000 users? Will it sustain for 1 lakh users? Sustain means it can able to serve you, or you can able to book the ticket. Right. Next. Do you expect today? How many users do you expect? We are launching an offer as per the previous example. We are getting 1 lakh people. How many users we can able to withstand? 6 lakhs. So 1 lakh is bare minimum. We can able to handle. So no complications in our offer. We are expecting 10 lakhs, but we are supposed to be fixed our problem up to 6 lakhs. Then we need to worry, right? For worry, how do we solve that worry? Immediately we can't able to solve the software problem, but we can able to increase the hardware, right? So we can able to increase, or we can able to purchase another server and add it to the existing queue, so that we can able to solve the problem. That predefined decision will be comes through this: how many users, okay, acting on the website before it getting slow. How many users are there in the application before it get stop working. For how many users it can sustain. So these are the factors influencing our application performance. So all these things, so internally run on the performance tester's mind before taking up the project. Project వచ్చేసిన తర్వాత ఇవన్నీ అవసరం లేదు సార్. మన దగ్గర స్క్రిప్ట్ ఉంటుంది, ఆ స్క్రిప్ట్ ని రన్ చేస్తే రిజల్ట్స్ వస్తాయి, ఆ రిజల్ట్స్ ని ఇవాల్యుయేట్ చేస్తే మన పని అయిపోతుంది సార్. But to go to that level, we need to understand why exactly we are doing the work, right? Why exactly we are doing the functional testing? To make customer happy. Customer do not get any problems in the production environment. What kind of problems? In the Flipkart, you are not able to book your order. Is it a problem or not? Those kind of things we don't want to encounter in our application. So that is the reason we are going to conduct the functional testing. Why we are doing why we are going to conduct the performance testing? Because of these problems. To identify these numbers. Simply, we are trying to identify these numbers. So when it is getting slow, when it is stop working, for how many users it is sustainable. Ante gundlu me cheyesu padukodu undi sustainable ante. So that is what we are going to identify in the scalability section. Right? Next. This is very important. As I mentioned earlier, Ugadi example. For Ugadi, we are getting 6 lakh users. Next year, it should be better than 6 lakhs, right? So increasing the digital. Okay. So Modi చెప్తున్నాడు కదా, అంతా డిజిటల్ అని. Okay. So UPI payments ఇవన్నీ వచ్చినాయి కదా ఈ మధ్య కాలంలో. So we are getting more crowd in the next year. How many users? 10 lakh users. So that estimation is also from performance testing. Is it required or not? Next. How much data it can hold? So how much data we can able to save on a web application or any application. So database capacity, I mentioned earlier, 1 GB is my database capacity. Already you saved 500 MB on the day 1. What about day 2? Another 500 MB. So the data is still required, right? So that is what we are supposed to understand or estimate database capacity. How much is consumed? How much is required for the next day or next year? File server capacity. So you have a folder structure in your mobile phone, right? Exactly similar to the folder structure in the laptop. Server also have the similar kind of file structure. So do we have any complexity on the file server capacity? So backup server capacity. So every server will have a backup. Okay. So that backup server capacity also matters while influencing the or while estimating the particular performance of a system. Right. So example. So you are a 10th class student. How can I evaluate your performance? Only by seeing the maths marks? No. Social? No. Science? No. What about the languages? That is also required to pass, right? So exactly similar to that. Multiple factors influencing your performance testing. Okay. Next. Data growth rates. So last year, how the data consumption? This year, what are the trends? Before 5 years, what are the trends? So that is the growth rate. So how quickly we are improving our growth rates. So users are more. Growth rate is also more. So that is the few factors or few understanding concepts to understand what is performance test. Right? So how many users is the biggest problem in our performance testing? All our testing revolves around how many users. Before it can stop, before it is getting slow, for how many users it is sustainable, how many users will come tomorrow, how many users will come on special offer day, those things comes to the picture, right? All these together, so we can have a second concept called scalability. By keeping all this in mind, we can able to increase the software capabilities. Are we increasing the hardware capabilities? That we can able to estimate, right? So is it speed and scalability both are important to estimate the performance? Right. Third one, stability. Right. What happens if there are more users than we expect? Like we have a 6 lakhs users is our expectation. Suddenly we are getting 7 lakhs. It is getting slow. 8 lakhs, a bit slow. 10 lakhs, slow and stop in between. It is playing. 15 lakhs, get stopped. Right? So this is expectations of users and more than expectations of users. All the users do the same thing? No. Guest users will do something. So if you really want to purchase that, you do something. Just time pass, you are visiting the Flipkart. At testing purpose, you are visiting the Flipkart. Can you able to purchase something? So there is a different kinds of user behavior. So what happens if a user get disconnected? So in the Tatkal story, so initially at 10 o'clock, everyone gunshot. Some people may log in earlier and they'll start working on booking the tickets. Right? So it was disappointed. All the tickets were gone. Then will you play with IRCTC again? So if it is really required, you can go with the alternative trains. All the trains are booked. What you will do? Will you log out, right? That is a disconnected. So if 10 lakh people are there at 10:03 minute, okay, 10 o'clock, 3rd minute. So suddenly all the tickets are over. So in 10 lakhs, at least 3 lakhs will be disconnected. Now what is the load on your server? Only 7 lakhs. In the next minute, 3 more lakhs. Then it is a playing of game, right? Disconnect and connect. Or suddenly, so your server is, or your IRCTC website is forcibly, you ask me to log out. Then that is also a possible thing, right? Getting some errors, unwanted errors. You come back to login. So everything is a cycle, and we can able to see what happens if users are logged out or disconnected. Okay. So all these comes under stability. When we can call it as a stable build? If doing the basic operations. What are the basic operations? If it is more than expected users. If customer is disconnected, is it allowing? Load ఎక్కువగా ఉంది, disconnect చేస్తే disconnect అవ్వట్లేదు sir. If we have more load, if you are connecting and log out, you are not able to log out. Will it be a good application? Will it be a stable application? Is it influencing the stability or not? So get disconnect. See, important thing. The web server goes down, getting the sorry page. Okay. So when do we get the sorry page? The server is down. What we do? Okay. In 2010 to 2015, we are able to see the sorry pages while booking the Tatkal ticket. When users are a bit reduced, then it will be up. Okay, na? Right. we get too many orders for the same thing. Everyone is interested to check the balance. Everyone is interested to check the only balance. That means balance module will have the more hits. What about other loan process module? No hits. Credit card? No hits. Bank statements? No hits. Fund transfer? No hits. But only target towards balance check. So that is, if a feature or if a module have more hits, what will happen? If it is equally distributed, we may not get problems. We have 100 test cases to execute. I have 3 resources. What should I do? As a good manager, I can able to distribute equally between 3 resources. But I have a partiality. So I'll allocate 20 test cases to first person, 50 test cases to second person, remaining 30 test cases to third person. What will happen? The second person may overloaded or not. So the same kind of things will be available on application in the real time. So 1 lakh users will not be equally distributed among all the modules available. Wherever you are offering some 1 rupee printer in the Flipkart, we get more hits to that particular link only, not for others. That means one piece is getting overburdened. One resource in my project is getting overburdened. What happens if we have such type of scenario in your project? Right? So the stability is a matter of how many users we are having in your application, and if you are expecting or if you are more than your stabilized count. 10,000 is your base criteria. If you are getting more than that, what will happen? Okay. So all the users do the same thing? No. So we need to do that as well. A user gets disconnected, what happens? The web server goes down, what happens? We get too many orders for the same something. Okay, so one module, we are getting the same orders, many orders for one module. So that is bank statement. We are getting too many hits. Or mini statement, we are getting too many hits. Fund transfer, everyone in the, so 100 users acting in your application, 100 users acting on the fund transfer only. Then it is overburdened. How this application is behaving at that moment? How your application is behaving when users are disconnected? How your application is behaving getting more users than expected? Usual kante kuda ekku mandi vachesar. So our class capacity is 100. We are getting 150 members. What we will do? We need to plan for alternative arrangements, right? So that is what we can call as stability. Doing the alternative things. If you know this, we can able to do the alternative things. So are we stable? How do you define that? By doing all these activities. In between, intentionally down the server and see the application behavior. Disconnect multiple users, see the behavior. Provide more users than expected, check the behavior. Okay. So all these things we can able to implement on the application to ensure is it a stable product or not with respect to performance. Next one, very important thing, confidence. If you know what the performance is, like previous 3 questions will be answered by your performance testing team. As a client, as a manager, how you feel? That is the confidence. Right? You can assess the risk. You can assess the risk. So if more users, what kind of risk you can able to get? Yeah, it is only withstand for 10 lakhs users. What if we get more? Definitely it will fail or reduce the performance. Next. You can make informed decisions. Like suddenly tomorrow we are expecting 10 lakh users, but your application is supporting 7 lakhs, maximum 7 lakhs users. Can we be able to arrange an alternative server to support additional users? How do you get that? by understanding 7 lakhs is your capacity and you are estimating 10 lakhs by tomorrow or by next week, then you can able to arrange a additional hardware. So that is a assessing the risk and providing the alternative solution. Okay, Nandi? So you can plan for the future. So today we are hitting with 10 lakh users, but our support is 8 lakhs only. So what we can able to go with the next round of build? In next build, what we are expecting? At least it's support for 10 lakh users by increasing the hardware or by increasing the software capabilities. Yeah, this is very important. If you know the performance of your application, then what we can able to do? At least performance testers can able to happily sleep to that night. If performance is clumsy, they don't have a good results, then what they will do? One interview the brain just and am I right or not? So mere interview baga prepare. So what will happen? Confidently you can clear the interview. If you are partially prepared, practice what will happen? Do you get the confidence? So this is what the situation of performance tester is. If they get all the answers for the questions which we discussed, so they feel free at that go live day. So manakoche functional issues kante kuda. So apart from the functional issues, performance issues are very dangerous. Going to the sorry page, suddenly server down will cost a lot. Functional testing is not that much, okay, danger compared to the performance. Okay, na? Right. This is the outcome of why do we require the performance testing? If we identify, okay, some risk, we can able to have a predefined alternative solutions. If you are not able to identify the risk, server goes down, sorry page, your entire business will be, instead of getting the benefit, we are getting into the loss. Right. So the peace of mind that it will work on go live day alone justifies the cost of performance testing. Performance testing is much costlier than, okay, much costlier than your functional testing. Why? Functional testing, one user activity. Or if you have 40 members in your team, 40 members activity. What about performance testing? I'm talking about 10,000 users, 1 lakh user, 10 lakh users. How to deploy 10 lakh manual testers to conduct the performance testing? Will it be really possible? Are you sure on it? Can you able to recruit 10 lakh manual testers to conduct the performance testing? How to accommodate? And we recruited 10 lakh manual testers for one day. Even though how to handle those things, they need to click on at a time login. Can we able to do it? So మన క్లాస్ లో ఉండాలన్నా ఒకేసారి లాగిన్ చేయమంటేనే చాలా వేరియేషన్స్ వస్తాయి. But 10 lakh members ఎలా మేనేజ్ చేస్తాం? Is it really possible? It is the toughest situation to conduct performance testing on the application. So we need to get the help of automation. We need to get the help of automation. Tool will listen my words, but people should not. Am I right or not? So that is another complexity in the performance testing. So why do we require performance testing? You have some idea? Influencing the speed, scalability, stability. Okay, these 4 is outcome of so the discussion which we had.
Sustainability.
Yes. Okay. So any questions so far? All these are familiar words only, right? మీకు తెలియని ఇంగ్లీష్ అని చెప్పట్లేదు కదా నేను. Speed, scalability, stability, confidence. These 4 keywords are familiar. English keywords, not performance keywords, right? Right. Next, how do we get or how do we achieve this performance testing? How do we get answers for above factors influencing the performance testing? We understand why we have so many questions. How do we get solved? By conducting the performance testing. What exactly performance testing is? Performance testing is a non-functional testing where we can estimate how quickly your application is responding to your end user actions. Okay, na? So is it clear? Right. So performance testing is the process of determining the speed or effectiveness of a computer, network, software program, or a device. So how your mobile phone is performing comes under mobile phone performance. How your WhatsApp available in your mobile phone is performing, mobile application performance. How Flipkart.com is behaving, web application performance. Okay, na? How calculator is performing within your computer, application performance. Okay, how your new RAM is working, that is a hardware performance. Am I right? How your camera is performing, camera performance. How student is performing, student performance. Okay, na? Right. So here also there is no new thing. Speed. Speed of application is known as performance. Performance testing is an general testing performed to determine how a system performs in terms of responsiveness and stability under a particular workload. Let's come back to our notepad. What is performance testing? So we are determining or check how much or how quickly it is responding. There is a already familiar thing, right? Next. Responsiveness and stability. Responsiveness means how quickly it is reacting. This is nothing but responsive. If I ask a question, if you reply, then that is a response. Am I right? So if you ask a question to the server, if it is replied, you get the response. So responsive. And the second thing is stability under a particular workload. So you know the speed and the stability. Under what? Particular workload. What do you mean by workload? So my project is very pressurized project. I'm not able to handle this work. My manager is pinching me every hour, whether you are done with the work or not. These are the things which we can able to discuss in the real time. But this client is very odd client. He is pinching us for every day. What do you mean by workload? Let's forget about performance testing, everything. What do you mean by English word workload? How much work you are supposed to complete? High pressure. Okay, something like that. Workload. If workload is increased, pressure increases. If there is no workload, if you overburden with the work, that is the workload. Exactly similar to that. So how to put the pressure on the application? How to put the pressure on Flipkart.com? How? This workload is directly proportional to am I right? So this number of users is an important keyword. Okay, in our performance journey. Our journey starts from this particular number of users. So speed depends on number of users. Scalability depends on number of users. Stability depends on number of users. Confidence Depends on number of users. Every factor influencing the number of users. This number of users is nothing but workload. 10,000 users, less workload. 10 lakh users, more workload. Right? So performance testing revolves around number of users acting on your web application, or number of users acting on your application, whether the active user or ideal user. It doesn't matter to me. Number of users working on your application is nothing but a workload. If we increase the workload, more pressure we are putting on the server. We are decreasing the workload, reducing the pressure on server. So the server may work more with the less number of users. If we have more number of users, the particular server work may get delayed. Okay, Nandi? Example, weight. So if you are lifting the 50 kgs weight, how much workload you have? More. You are lifting the 5 kgs weight. Exactly similar to that. Server is also, it's not a human, but it's an entity, right? It's a hardware. It is also having some software programs running on this particular server, right? If you have more pressure, the performance or the work capability is a bit delayed. Right? So I ask you 50 questions. So to answer by end of the day, will it be getting more pressure on you or not? I have only five questions offered to you. Less pressure. 1 question, very less. 20 questions, more pressure. 10 questions, average or maintainable pressure. Exactly similar to that. The load of a server plays a vital role on the performance. For only one user, like your functional testing, do we consider all these things? No. Do we have in your mind all these things so far? But coming to the release, apart from functional testing, we need to do some performance testing, security testing. Okay. So all these additional testings. So additional testing teams are there to conduct these particular testings. So performance testing handled by different kind of testers. So those are called as non-functional testers. So in the non-functional testers, we have a security testers and we have a performance testers mainly. So we comes under performance testing division. Right. Next, it can also serve to investigate, measure, validate, or verify other quality attributes of the system, such as scalability, reliability, that is nothing but stability, and resource usage. Why we are conducting this testing or performance testing with a different kinds of number of users? Why we need to conduct for 10,000 users? Why we need to conduct for 20,000 users? Why we need to conduct for 50,000 users? Why we need to conduct for 1 lakh users? So we need to identify some, or we need to get some answers. What are the answers? The first one is whether it is scalable or not. For how many users this hardware is sufficient? Beyond that, what kind of hardware we need to insert? That is one answer. Second thing, reliability or stability. Next, resource usage, hardware and software usage. How much CPU is usage? How much RAM we are using? Okay, how much is free? So those kind of, we can call it as a performance counters, right? So we need to measure, investigate, validate, or verify. All these things comes under testing only, right? We can able to measure the performance. We can able to investigate how it is behaving under number of users. We need to validate that I need to get my application for 10 lakh users within 3 seconds. We need to have a validation, right? Next, verify. Check whether all your test cases are correct or not. In the performance testing also, we have a test plan, we have a test cases, we have a execution cycle, we have a bugs. That your standards will never alter. But the behavior or the thought process is slightly changed from functional testing to performance testing. For functional testing, target is one user. You have only one brain, we have only two hands, right? We can able to log in for one user only, right? At a time. If you're really multi-talented, you can able to use 2 or 3 laptops and you can able to do 2 to 3 users testing. But ideally, we can able to think like a one user, right? But in performance testing, we need to think like a number of grouped users, 10,000 users, 10 users. Okay, 1 lakh users, something like that. That is the only fundamental difference we need to understand for the day. Next, another definition. So what is reliability? So what is resource usage? So we can able to just have a quick reference. So the quality of measurement indicating the degree to which the measure is consistent. So that means all your results will be same for today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, on the same test, same server, same users. Is this particular characteristics are changed? You are able to lift 5 kgs today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow. 10 kgs today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow. Right? So if there is any change, definitely you can't able to rely on that particular results. Am I right or no? Your performance testing need to prove that it is consistent, it is stable, it is reliable. How to do that? So we are getting the same results again and again. Okay. So that is repeated measurements would give the same results. In our language, in our general language, repeat the same test again and again, get the same result. Log in with valid username and password. What will happen? Right? Repeating the same test again and again in the same environment do provide same results. ఒకటే ఎగ్జామ్ మళ్ళీ మళ్ళీ పెడితే ఏమొస్తుందండి? సేమ్ రిజల్ట్స్ రావాలా వద్దా? రైట్, సేమ్ థింగ్ సార్. ఈ ఎక్స్ట్రాడినరీగా ఏమైనా ఉంటే మనకు తేడా వస్తుంది తప్ప రెగ్యులర్ గా అయితే సేమ్ రిజల్ట్స్ వస్తాయి కదా. సో వీ నీడ్ టు డూ ద సేమ్ థింగ్ ఫర్ అవర్ అప్లికేషన్ యాజ్ వెల్. Resource usage. So these are the some important information. CPU usage, memory, etc. We don't want to deep dive into all these things. CPU usage is very important constraint, and memory also. So both are you are familiar, right? So mobile, in the mobile we are able to get the usage of CPU and memory. Okay, so if your mobile is running very slow, so you can have some notifications, right? Clean up some memory. That is comes under memory. Right. So do you need a break? Right. So take 15 minutes of break and come back so we can able to understand the. So how to measure the performance testing? Third characteristic. First one is, why do we require performance testing? Second one is, what do we need to conduct in the performance testing? So we are pending with some performance counters and types of performance testing, right? So we'll come back at 11:45 a.m. Right. So next concept is, okay, factors or counters. What we can call it as counters or measurements. Once this is done, we can able to jump onto the types of performance testing. That is the end of today's session. Okay, right. So throughput, the amount of data transfer between client and server. That means your browser and server. Okay. The amount of data transfer between your client and server within the specified amount of time. Okay. If it is a second, how much data is transferred between your server and your browser? If it is a minute, how much data is transferred between your server and your client? Client is nothing but a browser. www.flipkart.com. If you click on enter, how much data is transferred between your browser and Flipkart server? And you are sending the request and your Flipkart is sending the response. I'm asking a question, you are getting the answer from your end. You are a server, I'm asking a question. I need a home page of Flipkart. It will be serve you with all the home page related information. That is the request and response. Asking a question to the server, request. Getting the answer from the server, response. So the total time, the total amount of data transfer between your client and server within specified amount of time. What is specified amount of time? You can define per second, per day, per year, per minute, per 2 hours. How much time you are defining? In that time, how much data is transferred? That is called throughput. Capability of a product to handle multiple transactions in a given period of time. How many fund transfers we can able to do per a minute? Okay, how many logins we can able to do per a minute? Okay, how many other transactions we can able to do per a period of time? So that is nothing but every transaction is a exchanging the data, right? So that is the amount of data transferred. Next, throughput represents the number of requests or business transactions processed by the product in a specified time duration. Okay, so how many or how much data is transferred or how many requests, how many business information is exchanged. So data exchange will be calculated based on throughput. Data exchange rate we can call it as. Okay, na? So how many number of hits or requests? So within a second, how many requests are hitting to the server? That is nothing but throughput. Right? The amount of data transferred between client and server. The throughput is the measurement of bandwidth. Bandwidth is nothing but amount of data. So consumed during the test. How much data is consumed? Right? So it shows how much data is flowing back and forth from your server. How many requests we are sending, how many response we are getting. That is what we can call it as throughput. So one important performance counter is throughput. Amount of data transferred between client and server or user and server. Okay, it will be 10 kbps. That means 10 kilobytes. What is your internet speed? kbps boy, gbps vache. Okay, what is mbps?
Megabytes.
So the amount of data exchange between your internet service provider and your computer, that is speed, called as speed of internet. Speed of internet. So speed is also a one counter, right? So that counter is throughput. How much of data is exchanged between yourself and your internet service provider, yourself and a server, right? So 10 kbps, that means 10 kilobytes per second is exchanged between So client and server. Source and destination we can call it as. Source ki destination madhya enta data exchange ayindi within a second or within a minute, within an hour, within a day. That is what we can call it as throughput. kbps, mbps, gps. Okay, right. Is it clear? Is it a known thing? Ardham kaakapothe internet speed andi. How we are calculating the internet speed? You are checking with your internet service provider, right? I want to pay 500 rupees per month. How much data, how much speed you are able to provide? Unlimited data? 100 Mbps, 200 Mbps, 300 Mbps. How much cap? What is the cap? How much data we can able to download? Download speed, upload speed. Together we can call it as throughput. Right. So throughput is measured in the units of kilobytes per second or megabytes per second. Okay, or minute sometimes. Second request or second counter request per second. How many requests we can able to send to the server? What do you mean by request? Right. See this? All these are requests. So you are in a assumption that I just entered on only quality.in. But internally, how many clicks we can able to get? All these comes under request. How to achieve this particular screen? Click on F12 and select Networks tab. Click on F12 and select Networks tab, so that you can able to see how many requests you are sending. And here you can able to see some seconds, milliseconds, the time travel between client and server. Am I right? So advaindandi. So quality.in is not a single request. Quality.in, if you click on enter, it will send the request and get the response. How many hits? It will get all the requests. Like images we can able to get. Okay. Other code parameters we can able to get. Okay. Other buttons we can able to get. Everything is a request. So these are the requests. Still we are getting. Okay. So let's see how many requests. Okay. So here it is interrelated with all these components. Or if you want to select quality.in, it's a filter. See, this file is accessed one request. This file is accessed second request. This file is accessed third request. So all this comes under quality.in only. So this is fourth request. This is fifth request. All these are internal requests available behind the quality.in. So are you able to follow? Right. How we have a playback singer. Exactly similar to that. All these are internal requests available on the quality.in. So your browser interacting with the server, quality.server, for all these requests. So these many questions available on your single question. Am I clear? So all these things we are requesting from the server. It may be a script, it may be an image. Okay. So it may be a JSON file, something like that. Whatever it is, everything is a request. And if you have a document, then we can able to see the documents as well. Okay, enterprise agile scaled agile certification. Agile certification is a document. So that is also a request, which is internal to quality.in. Exactly similar to that, you can able to place here other website like Flipkart. F12, Networks tab. Now click on enter. Just see this. All others are available here as part of loading this page. See how many requests we are hitting the server. Is it clear? That means it's not only quality thought.in is not only one request. It is group of requests. So those requests, we can call it as request per second. How many requests we are sending? How many requests we are sending to the server? RPS, shortcut and don't worry about this. Request per second is the measurement of how many requests are being sent to the targeted server. In first example, in the first tab, quality thought server. In the second tab, Flipkart server. So many requests are there, right? So every image is a request. Okay. Every document is a request. Every file is a request. Every script is a request. Something like that. So how many requests we are sending? So many requests, right? So that is the measurement of a request per second. Right. It includes requests of HTML pages, CSS style sheets, XML documents, JavaScript libraries, images, and Flash or multimedia files. That we already observed, right? In the example, the same thing. What is the second counter? Request per second. So, how many requests we are sending to whom? Known as RPS. Request per second. This request may contains maybe HTML, CSS, XML, documents. Let's understand this. XHR, fetch, initiator. Okay, image. Image set, script. I'm not getting any from document. I'm getting from our example. All these are our requests or not? Script. Fetch. So let's see this. JavaScript file, JF, image file, GIF file, JS, JavaScript file, JSON file. Okay, these are the types of files which we are able to see. Plain text. Okay, all these are everything we can able to see in the networks tab is a request. Within a second of time, how many requests we are sending? That is what we can call it as request per second. Sir, how do I know about this? That's the reason we are taking the help of tools. Tool will help us to do all these activities from our end. Okay, so before jump onto the tool, we need to understand the basics, right? Right. That is the RPS. So the request may be from HTML, CSS, XML, documents, image files, scripts, or GIF. Videos, whatever it is, whatever available on that particular page, everything is a request. So whatever you are seeing on the website, everything is a output of a particular request. So that is answer for every question which you are sending to the server. If you are not able to send a request, can we get the answer? Can we get the response? No. So request is the primary concern. So before that, we have a counter called throughput. The amount of data exchange between to and fro is not a one direction. It's a bidirectional. Amount of data exchanged between client and server within second of time. Second one is request per second. So the only intention here, RPS introducing here is, so we don't want to in a trap. Qualitythought.in is one request. Flipkart.com is one request. So behind the scenes, we have so many requests hitting the server, getting the response. Those are like different HTML files, CSS files, XML files, GIF files, okay, media files, images, etc., etc. Okay, everything we are able to see on a website or application is a request. Clear? Next, concurrent users. We already discussed about the number of users, right? So number of users is nothing but concurrent users. But why we are using concurrent instead of number of users? We are familiar with the number of users, right? How many users we can able to use? How many users available on the website before it stops? How many users we have before it gets slowed down? For how many users we can able to sustain? We are understanding about how many users, right? So a slight variation between how many users and concurrent users. Concurrent users are the live users acting on the websites at the same time. Concurrent users are hitting the website at the same time. So currently, how many users are hitting your website? That is the count of concurrent users. So the concurrent users is the most common way to express the load being applied during the test. That is nothing but number of users. But those number of users need to be active on that particular website. Elanti number of users kavalandi manaki? The active number of users will be comes under concurrent users. So concurrent users. So this is the basic, okay, counter of our performance testing. Our testing will start from concurrent users. So why do we require tool? How to measure throughput? How to measure RPS? How to measure concurrent? How to input concurrent users? This we can't able to do it in a manual way, right? We already proved that by manual testers, we can't able to do the performance testing. Why? Because we have so many difficulties, like we can't able to gather the bulk number of users, and users are having typical mindset. We can't able to control all users to get the performance results, ideal performance results. Let us start. Click on login. ఒకడు 5 seconds తర్వాత రియాక్ట్ అవుతాడు, ఒకడు 5 seconds ముందు రియాక్ట్ అవుతాడు, ఒకడు అసలు రియాక్టే కాదు. వీళ్ళందరినీ కలుపుకొని మన మాన్యువల్ టెస్టింగ్ లో పెర్ఫార్మెన్స్ టెస్టింగ్ క్రియేట్ చేయొచ్చా? ఇట్స్ నాట్ పాసిబుల్. సో బికాస్ ఆఫ్ డిఫరెంట్ కైండ్స్ ఆఫ్ మైండ్ సెట్ పీపుల్ హ్యావ్, we can't able to control their mindset, right? So that's the reason we are taking the help of tools. How? We can see in the next lecture. This metric or counter or measurement is measuring how many virtual users. What do you mean by virtual? Those are not real users. Those are created by tool. So we are not recruiting the manual testers, right? Or testers, right? Instead, we are taking the help of your tool to create user. If user is not real, what we can call it as virtual user. Okay. So how many virtual users are active at any particular point of time? That is what we discussed, right? At this point of time, how many concurrent users are available? 5. That means 5 active users are acting or using your application. Okay, that is what we can call it as concurrent users. The other counter is concurrent users. So what do you define about the concurrent users? Number of users active on the website. Right. So let me note down this as well for your reference. Number of users active on your application. These users are created by tools. Is it clear? So will you be able to recapture by using this particular 1 line or 2 lines? Right. Right. Next. How many real or virtual users are active at any particular point of time? This is the definition of concurrent users. Next one. What do you mean by error rate? Let's take an example of simple, okay. So take simple example. So I created an exam on manual testing out of 25 questions. How many you are able to answer? How many are not able to get the answer? So how many are wrong? Those are called failures or errors. How many are right from your end? That we can see. Success rate. Okay. How many questions you answered? That is success. How many are failed? Total how many questions? Fourth one is error rate. So total I have 100 questions in testing. Total I have 100 questions in testing. So you are able to (25) questions correctly. That means what is the success rate? Perfect. So how many are pass by total number of questions into 100? This is the percentage or rate calculation. This is nothing but what is the failure rate? What we are not able to answer. How many questions? Total number of questions? Percentage? 70%. Is this simple mathematical calculation you are familiar? So this is exactly what is failed to get the response from your server. So question and answers. How many answers we received? 25. Success rate is 25. How many you failed to get the answer from server? So this is called okay. So let me open the same example. Here you can able to see 200, right? 200 stands for success. 200 stands for success or okay. Let's see, do we have any? Yes, so many. 404. Okay. So this is error. So the answer is not found. Are Baba, I don't have this entity, but you are requesting. I can't able to serve you. Okay. So that is what we can able to call it as error. 404 is comes under not found is an error. We can call them as status codes for your request. Status codes for your request. Okay. 404 is not found. That means we are not able to get the answer from the server, right? Apart from success, 200, everything we can treat as failure at the starting stage. So how many failures we have? That percentage is called error rate. What is error rate? So if you are within a second of time, I can able to send 5 requests to the Flipkart. How many are success? 4 are success. 1 is fail or error. So what is the error rate we have? 1 by 5 into 100, 20%. 20% failure, 80% success. How can we calculate it? 4 success by total number of requests, 5 into 100. 20 into 4, 80%. So that is how we are calculating the error rate. So error rate is total number of failures by total request we send into 100. So error rate is equal to total number of failures or errors over total number of requests. That already we have a RPS, right? How many total requests we are sending? That's we already have. So now we are calculating number of errors into 100. So we are getting a error rate in percentage. Is it clear? So first we started with throughput. What is throughput? Amount of data exchanged between your client and server, or source and destination. Second thing, how many number of requests we are sending to the server, RPS. Within a second of time, how many requests we are sending. Third one, concurrent users. How many active users, okay, working on, or active, virtual or real users. Okay, so it is acting on your website. Fourth one, error rate. So you are providing 10 requests per second to the server. How many are getting success? How many are getting failure? How we are evaluating? By using status quo. 200 is for success. 404 is failure as an example. So we are getting the error rate. Clear? So error rate is the mathematical calculation that produces a percentage of problem requests to all requests. That is what we discussed, right? So the percentage reflects how many responses are HTTP status codes indicating an error on the server, as well as any request that never gets a response, a wrong response or no response, whatever it is. If you are not getting the success, then it is a failure. So usually 200 is for success. So an example, 400 and 500 series are error status codes. Next one is response time. So how quickly we are getting the output is nothing but a response time. So we are sending the request. Flipkart is ready to answer for your question. How quickly it is answering? That is the response time. So how quickly we are getting the answer? How quickly your home page is displaying? That is response time. So this calculation starting from hitting the enter on flipkart.com to displaying the home page completely. Displaying the home page completely. That is request time and getting the response time. We can totally call it as response time. Within how many seconds we are able to get the response from clicking on the enter on browser. That is called response time. So a generic system or functional unit takes to react to a given input. After providing the input, how many seconds it is taking, or how many milliseconds it is taking to get the output. After hitting enter, within how many milliseconds or seconds we are getting the complete home page, not partial home page. Right? Right. Response time is defined as the delay between the point of request and the response from the product. Concept delay between your request initiated time and response completion time. So how much delay? That is how much time gap. That is what we can call it as response time. So in how many seconds we can able to get the home page by hitting enter to that particular complete loading. The delay is known as response time. Right? Clicking on sign in. How many seconds you can able to see the inbox page? That is another response time. For every request, we do have a response time. For every request, we do have a response time. Right? So that is the main capture, right? In the performance, how quickly we are getting the response. The other counter is, what is the response time? From sending the request to getting the complete response. Okay. So the time gap is known as, right? So for our example, hitting the enter on the browser or clicking on the login button, sign up button, whatever it is. So you initiate the transaction. From that moment to completion of that transaction will be calculated in the form of response time. Right. So we are done with 5, right? Yeah. These are the 5 important counters or measurements we can do on the performance testing. So what is the first one? Throughput. What is throughput? Amount of data exchanged between your client and server. Example, you are hitting on the enter on the flipkart.com. So from that moment to sending the request, getting the response. Amount of data, is it a 4 KB or 10 KB or 100 KB per second is traveling between your browser and your Flipkart server. That data is calculated in the form of throughput. Second thing, how many requests we are sending? Is www.xyz.com is a one request? Absolutely not. We have an internal request. Like how many HTML pages we are visiting, how many CSS files we are accessing, how many images we are accessing, how many GIFs we are accessing, how many scripts we are accessing. Everything we can able to call it as a request. To capture the request, we need to access the network tab available on the browser. These are the internal requests available for us, okay, for the Flipkart application. So these are the number of requests we are sending to the server from our Quality Thought website to Quality Thought server, or my browser to Quality Thought server. So this is nothing but requests per second. Next, concurrent users. How many users we are trying to make them active on the application in a specified amount of time? That is nothing but concurrent users. This is nothing but simply number of users we are using to conduct the testing. Okay. In future, we can call it as a threads. So each thread is nothing but one virtual user. It's a technical name. Number of users, number of threads. Okay, in JMeter, we can able to use them as a threads. Thread is nothing but a one user. 10 threads, 10 users. 100 threads, 100 users. Next one, error rate. We are sending so many requests to the server, right? So many questions to the server. How many are success? 200. How many are failed? Apart from 200, either 500 or 400. How many errors are we are able to see? How many questions server is not able to give the answer? Those are called as error. So the mathematical formula we can call it as error rate. Total number of failures over the total number of requests we are sending into 100. So mostly it is less than 3% in the real time. Mostly it is less than 3%. A response time. The amount of delay between initiating the request and getting the complete response. A delay between request and response. The total amount of time travel between request time plus response time. Okay, na? Right. So we are done with the third concept as well. So first concept is, why do we require performance testing? What is performance testing? Performance testing measurements are counters. Okay. So why do we require performance testing? To identify speed, scalability, stability, confidence, gaining the confidence. Next chapter, what is performance testing? So how quickly it is reacting to the end user actions is nothing but a performance testing. Okay. How do we measure this performance testing? By calculating throughput, RPS, concurrent users, error rate, response time. right? So we know everything. Now, how do we conduct performance testing? Okay, in the real time. We configured or we classified this particular performance testing into 4 types. Main 4 types. Right. First testing is load testing. Second thing is stress. Third one is spike. Fourth one is endurance testing. So the last concept for the day, types of the, how do we have a functional testing, non-functional testing? Exactly similar to that. Performance testing also classified into 4 types for their simplicity. Okay. First one is load testing. Yeah, we can come back to the stress testing in a while. So first concentrate towards load testing. The name itself says that we are putting the load. That's the reason it is calling it as load testing. Right. We are conducting which testing? The name will not change, right? We are conducting performance testing under customer expected load. What we can call it as customer expected load and customer expected configuration. Let's try to understand this definition. We are going to conduct the performance testing, or we can call it as a load testing. We are already familiar with load testing is a performance testing, right? Let me generalize this definition. We are conducting load testing under customer expected load and customer expected configuration. So that means it is a type of performance testing we are going to conduct under customer expected load and configuration. Let's define these 2 characteristics. Customer expected load. Let's come to our initial discussion. Right. Okay, so let's remember this. What is my expectation? This is called as load, customer expected load. I am the customer for qualitythought.in. I would like to create qualitythought.in website from my side. So then what is my expectation? So this is the load of a customer. This is a load of a customer. So for how many users we are creating this website? For sustainability, for stability. That is the number of users. Okay. Or we can call it as a load. What we can call it as? Load. What is our load? So customer expected load is after it get released. So once we are releasing qualitythought.in website to the students, how many users may hit my website? That prediction is nothing but number of users. As a developer, you need to support 1,000 concurrent users using my application without having any problem. That is my customer expected load. My expectation is maximum of 1,000 users. That 1,000 users will be comes under customer expected load. Next, another characteristics. Expected configuration. What do you mean by configuration? If you want to purchase a laptop, if you want to purchase a mobile phone, do you have some specification, right? That specification is nothing but configuration. What is RAM? What is processor? Which processor you need? Which motherboard you need? Memory. All this comes under configuration. In our language, we can call it as usually. So performance testing server should be same as production server. Why? Why it should be same as production server? Sir, production server is 4 GB. I want to conduct testing on 18 GB. It's very quick in the testing. What about the real-time scenario? It may not that much worthful, right? It may get some delay compared to the 4 GB and 18 GB. Reverse. My production is 18 GB, but my testing machine is 4 GB. Is these results are matching with your production server results? There is a variation, right? So usually we are going to conduct the performance testing on the similar kind of server which we may use or which we already in use in the production server, right? So now just understand the load testing once again. So we are conducting performance testing on Quality Thought website. Okay, with how many users? What is my expectation? On 4 GB server. This is called which testing? Load testing. So this load testing usually conducted for 8 hours. That means our 1 day working hours. 8 hours of minimum of time we need to allocate for load testing. That means 1000 users working on your application for 8 hours of time. What is your response time? What is your throughput? What is request per second? What is number of concurrent users? What is error rate? We need to define all these things. So with the help of some tools.
8 hours continuously.
Continuously. So that is level 1. We have more hours in future. Right? So 8 hours continuously for you can run the machine for 8 hours, the script. So it will runs in the background. So we are doing other works as well. So we have your email system where we can able to get the more error rates. It will hint us. So through email. So this request is failing, something like that. So are you using ICICI Bank website or some other banking website? So 1 hour testing is sufficient. Right? So minimum of 8 hours to make sure it is ready with 1000 users. Next. Is it clear? Estimate the speed, scalability, stability to get the confidence. For how many users? Is it clear? That is the target of load testing. Customer expected load, customer expected configuration. The configuration will never change in performance testing. Only change is number of users. Right. So estimated speed, scalability, stability to get the confidence for 1000 users. So what we are doing? Is it clear? Right. Second thing. Name itself says that we are putting some stress. How we are putting the stress with so many interview questions like that. So we are putting some stress on server. Right? How to do that? Technically speaking, by increasing the load. What do you mean by load? So my system or my server working with 1000 users. But coming to the scalability, we need to identify. So what are our threats and how to solve that with the predefined solutions. So that's the reason we are increasing the load. To identify the risks. Why we are increasing the load? to identify the risk. What kind of risks? When it slow down, when it is stopping. So for how many users it is sustainable? Thousands, perfectly working. What if we go with beyond 1,000? Our business is increasing. So in future, we may get definitely 1,500 users. What if we receive the 1,500 users? Increasing the load to identify the risk. How do we increasing? In sequential way. That means step by step. That means for 1,000 already tested. Next, how it is behaving? 1,100 users. What is the behavior? 12,000, 1,200 users, 1,300 users, 1,400 users, no impact, same as 1,000 users. Perfect, excellent application. 15,000 users, slow down, little slow down. 16,000. Again, it is a more slow down. What do you mean by slow down? Here it is taking 3 seconds to give the response. Yeah, more response time. 4 seconds. This is also good. So on. Suddenly we are increasing to step by step 2,000. Very slow. Response time is 15 seconds. Okay, here getting what is the error rate? 70% or more. Why? Because more requests are failing. Why? Because server is not able to send the answer. You are asking the questions similar to that 2,100 members asking the questions to the server. Server is able to respond back for only 2,000 users. But next 1,000 users getting the failure rates. It is slowly increasing. Server is dead or stopped working completely. Identify this 2,200 number is called as maximum peak limit load. Maximum peak limit load. Identifying this potential number where we are getting the server stopped. That is called maximum peak limit load of an application. After this load, we will not get any response. This is the target of your stress testing. By putting the pressure only, we can able to identify this particular number, right? For 1,000, are we getting the server down? For 2,000, are we getting the server down? At what time we are getting the server down? In between 2,100 to 2,200. That is the limit. So exact one number, two number. I mean, one user, two user, we can't able to make it work. So in between 2,100 is okay. Sustainable. More than that, definitely at particular point of time, it will be down. Getting the sorry pages in Tatkal ticket booking is that particular criteria. Estimating the maximum peak limit load of an application. Okay, so is target of your stress testing. Where your server is down, at what user count, at what concurrent user count your server is down. That is called maximum peak limit load of an application. Is it clear? So how we are increasing the server load? Gradually, we are increasing the load and estimating the maximum peak limit load of an application. Can you guarantee that in the real time? So we are getting 1,000 users first, 1,100 users next, 1,200 users next. Can we guarantee that? No. So it is a irregular pattern. So suddenly we have 10 users. Suddenly we are going to 2000 users. Am I right or not? So that's the reason we have an alternative way of testing for the stress testing. That is called spike testing. That is called spike testing. Concept is same, but pattern of doing is different. So it is also to estimate the maximum peak limit load of an application. But difference between stress and spike is so, but here we are increasing the load in random fashion or randomly. That means we already tested for 1000, right? Suddenly I go with 2000. Suddenly go with 500. Then again go with 2500. It was stop working. Let's come back. 2000, it is working fine. 2100 again. So what is the difference between stress and spike? It is a regular pattern, increasing slowly, gradually, step by step, estimating the maximum peak limit load. But in the real time, we are not guaranteed that it is the same pattern as particular customers will come to us. So that's the reason we have an irregular pattern with the random increasing the load. That is called spike testing. Okay, you know spikes, right? I'll show you an image for long-term memory. We need to define. You are doing the testing, right? For how many users you are going to conduct the stress testing? 1100 users. Then connect for 1 hour of testing. Identify all these 5 counters. So these are only important counters. We have 10 more counters as well. So identify all the results. Again, it is working fine, right? Go with 1200. Go with 1300, 1400, 1500. Where we are getting the break or limit, or where we can't be able to get the responses. That is the end of stress testing. So the pattern is changed like spike. This is a spike testing. Suddenly start with 100 users, 200, 300. Suddenly go to the 0, right? This is a zigzag manner. This is another example. These are called spikes. Right? This is called spike testing. These are some examples for your visualization purpose. How we are increasing and decreasing the real-time users. For testing, we are using virtual users. But what about Flipkart end users? Those are not virtual, right? So those are real. So the pattern we are simulating in the testing. So this is gradually increasing the load. Let me maximize this particular screen. So this red color line is there, right? So step by step, we are increasing the load. But spike means irregular intervals, irregular load we are applying. Sudden hikes, sudden fall, sudden hike, sudden fall. But target is where exactly we are getting the break-even point. Okay. So definition is conducting the load testing or performance testing under customer expected configuration. Why? Because we are not able to change the server. Customers expected configuration and more than customer expected load. More than customer expected load. What is customer expected load? 1000. So this is more than customer expected load, right? This is more than customer expected load, right? Why? Because already we are conducting load testing with the customer expected load. We don't want to get into the 1000 users again. Why? Because it is well tested for 8 hours. We have problems with the 1000 users only or below the 1000 users. We don't want to get back this particular stress or spike. Whenever it is very stable and giving the better results, we can move on to the stress and spike. If load testing itself is failing for 1000 users, do we really require spike and stress? No. That is a secret. First, we need to conduct load testing. Why? Because identify whether it is correctly behaving for expected load. Expected load ke sariga panchayatledu. మనం ఎక్కడ చచ్చిపోయిందో చెప్పే కారణం ఏముందా సార్? Is there really required? It is doesn't require, right? So that's the reason we are focusing first on load testing, then stress testing, then spike testing, and last but not the least, we have last testing andi. What do you mean by endurance? Simple andi. You are familiar with load testing, right? Conducting load testing for longer hours. Already 8 hours ante 8 hours nijanga chestarani adigaru. Longer hours ante it's minimum of 72 hours. From 72 hours to so we have a server, we have a script, we are running the server, keeping aside. We don't want to touch that. No one need to log into the application as well. We have a separate server for performance testing and we keep that aside for longer hour testing. So why do we require this? We are working on the ICICI Bank website. For 8 hours, you conducted testing for 1000 users. You conducted testing for 2000 users. But can you guarantee that this application for 1000 users or 500 users, complete week, it is working fine? Can you guarantee? Maximum we provided is 8 hours. So real time, in the real time, will you able to stop the ICICI Bank after 8 hours? So here we have 8 hours from 9 to 6. But if you are a NRI, you can able to consume your ICICI Bank services, right? After 8 hours also, it should be active. So that's the reason we are going to conduct long hours or so lengthy performance testing with the 1000 users only. So the target of this is memory leaks. Okay. So one day is good. Second day, it is good. After third or fourth day, it is going into the non-responsive mode sometimes because the memory is not sufficient. So performance also go with the database server, right? Capacity of the database server is exceeded. Can we able to get the responses? So that is also we need to consider, right? So we have a long-term test in the projects for weeks of time to estimate is it sustainable for longer hours or longer days, we can call it as. Right? So these are the 4 important testing types we need to conduct in performance testing. All the output is responding to end user actions. This is the only target we are working on, right? So why is this required? To assess the future risk and defined solution for it. Second thing is, if you are not responding quickly, or not providing positive experience to the customer, Can he come back? That is the reason performance is a crucial thing and it's a costlier solution in the testing. Right? So this is the overall picture of what exactly performance testing is. Why do we require performance testing? Okay, types of performance testing and performance testing counters. Let's come back to our PPT. So 4 testing types, right? Load testing. So this is the definition which we discussed under customer expected load, customer expected configuration. So the objective is to identify performance bottlenecks before software application goes live. How your application is behaving for 1,000 users. See this. This is the maximum capacity which we are expecting. You are not able to understand the English sentences. Can you able to imagine with the images as well, right? So this is the load which we can able to put on that particular field objective. There's a maximum capacity which we can able to hold for this particular application. So this is sustainable, right? So this is called load testing. Next example, stress testing. So beyond the customer expected load or more than customer expected load and customer expected configuration, server will not change. Only number of users will change. So increasing the load sequentially or gradually. So involves testing an application under extreme workloads to see how it handles high traffic or data processing at the maximum peak limit load of an application. So the objective is to identify breakpoints of an application where servers stop working. To estimate maximum peak load of a system. Is it clear? We are increasing step-by-step load. So to identify where exactly we are getting the sorry page or server down. This is what an example of load and stress testing. So where it can be withstand the previous example, the previous image. Beyond that, this is estimate this point in your testing on your server is called stress or spike. Is it clear? Can you imagine now what is the difference between load and stress? Visually, spike same as stress, but randomly. So we don't want to follow gradual increase. We can go with the maximum and go with the minimum. Spikes we are creating. That's the reason we can call it as a spike testing. Both the target is same, but how we are increasing the load, how we are increasing the concurrent users is a matter. Last one is, so same load testing. Objective is for longer runs, are we getting any memory leaks? So do you have any questions?
The volume testing for development.
Yeah, it comes under data volume testing. So we are not covering entire it, guys. So volume testing also comes here, but it is a optional. So it depends on the data. If you have more data, then we can come with volume testing. We have so many things as well. So these are primary four pillars of performance testing. On top of that, we have so many types as well. We are not limited to 4. But these are 4 important things which is taken to the first level of performance testing.
Sir, performance testing చేయడానికి ఏమైనా టూల్ వాడతారా లేకుంటే
Vaadtaru.
నార్మల్
So maybe you are missing initial discussion. So we have so many tools called load runner, JMeter, NeoLoad. So we have so many tools. So we are going to discuss on next level class about the tools available. And so what is JMeter, how to install it, how to test all these counters in JMeter with a sample application. That is the next discussion. So this is a theoretical discussion. Second discussion is practical.
వీటి కూడా టెస్ట్ కేసెస్ అవన్నీ రాస్తుంటారు సార్.
Yeah, we have a tool and we are able to configure all these things in a systematic manner. So we can call it as a test plan. We have so many components to configure all these discussions which we had so far in a practical way. How do we configure number of concurrent users? how to get the response time, how to get the throughput, how to get the error rates. All this comes with the help of your tool. Okay, so tools we can discuss on the next schedule. And today, just we are going to understand what is non-functional testing. In the non-functional testing, we have a performance testing is a type. In the performance testing, why do we require it? What we are going to do in the performance testing? Okay, so what we are going to achieve? What are the performance counters we are evaluating in the performance testing? And types of performance testing. Once you familiarize with these concepts, we are able to do the same thing on practical with the help of JMeter. Right. So what is performance testing? How quickly your application is reacting to the end user actions will be measured under performance testing. What are the performance counters? Throughput, response time, error rate, request per second, concurrent users. So types of performance testing: load testing, stress, spike, endurance. So this is the important concepts which we discussed. All together, why we are going to conduct the performance testing? To check the scalability, stability, and speed. Finally, we are achieving the confidence on go live day. ఈ కష్టం అంతా ఎందుకండి లైవ్ లోకి వెళ్ళిన తర్వాత how our performance is, how our speed is. So to identify that measurement, we are considering all this discussion. Okay, so next chapter is performance testing with JMeter. So there we are introducing the different tools available in the market and what is JMeter, why JMeter is famous. So how exactly we are going to run the sample test on the JMeter and how we are able to identify the performance counter in the JMeter, structure of JMeter. All these things we can able to discuss on next session. Any questions, guys? Online guys?
Nothing, sir.